Welcome, wonderful people. This is Mr. Ndabezita once again, and we are just having a continuation with the classes, and we will still be working on that. Now, remember, in the previous tutorial, we looked at the properties, the get and the set, and how to set certain restrictions on the set property so that certain values can be allowed, whereas certain values can be neglected. So I want us to build upon this, but now this time I want us to look at auto implemented properties. When you have an auto implement property, what does that really entails? So we can just read just a few things which they are just saying here. And you can only declare an auto implemented property when you use both get and set. So this is very important. You can only use auto implemented property when you have both get and the set. You cannot use auto implemented property when you have only one. Okay, let's investigate all these things and see how the console interact with us. So remember, we always rely on this programming language C# 2022. Okay, so I will just go and create this. All right, and okay, let's just wait for that. Remember, it will be a console application, and let's just call this what can we call this? Let's just say auto implemented or auto implement. So okay, let me just insert the keyboard. All right, let's just say auto implemented a property. Save on the desktop, click next, .NET 6.0, and just create the environment for us. So it is so important that we note that you can only declare an auto implemented property when you use both get and set. When you use an auto implemented property, you should not declare the field that corresponds to the property. This one we have seen it in the previous tutorial. The corresponding field is generated by the compiler and has an internal name that would not match the field name if you had coded the field yourself. If you also declare a field for the property, your field and the property field refer to separate memory addresses, leading to potential confusion and errors. Okay, that is fine. So let's just come here, and when we are there, we will just have a namespace, and I'll just use X just to quick up things. I will have a class. I will just call this class P, and I will have a static void, and this will be the main, and it will accept a string of arrays arguments, and this is what we have. Now this is where we will run our code. So when I am here, allow me just to add a new item, and the name of this class, let me just say create employee. Good. And this will be the class that we have. Let's just import using static system.console. Very good. Now inside of this class, let me just end the class. So inside of this class, there's just a few things that I want us to have. First of all, we will have a public. It will be of type int, and I will just call this the ID number, and this ID number it's a property, public int id number, and I will have just the get and the set. So this is what we call an auto implemented property. Very important, because when you do it in this way, okay, let me just press the tab, right? So when you do it in this way, you say public int because you want to access this property, hence it is public. It will be of type int, no string will be accepted here. It will the compiler will complain. So inside of these curly braces, you must have the get separated with a semicolon and the set. So remember what they said, if you use an auto implemented property, you must have both. That's what they have said. So there seems to be no problem with this, but what we want is to have both get and set. All right, that is fine. So this is a property. This is very important. I don't have any fields inside of this class, only a property. Very important. I want to have another one, a public. This will be of type double, and I will call this the salary of the individual. So I will accept the ID number, set the ID number, I will get the salary and set the salary of this particular individual. So this is just a property that I have. Now, having these properties, I can come in the main. Let me just import this. Copy. Enter using and just paste. Very good. So when I am inside here, let me just end the main. Okay, that is fine. So when I am inside of the main, the first thing that I want to do, I want to create an object. So I will call this class and I will create an object which I will call a worker, and this will be equals to new. We have dealt with this. It will reserve memory for us, and that is fine. And then I want to say a worker, a worker dot, and now I am accessing what? The property, dot, and I am accessing the property, and I want to set this property to a value of 1991, just as we did in the previous tutorial. I am inside. I have created an object of this class, and I am saying through the object, I know that I have inside of this class, inside of this class, I have a property called ID number and a property called salary that will get and set the two. And there are no restrictions I have done here. All right. So this is not a problem. I can say just a worker.id number equals to that value. Terminate this with a semicolon, and I can also say a worker dot access the property and set the value to 55 rand. There's no problem with this. We understand what is happening here. All right, once that has been done, I want to just copy this. So I will copy that, go to the main and paste. All right, so I just want to have a write line statement, and in this write line statement I just want to say employee of a certain number. Okay, let me just use hashtag employee, and what is it that I want to say? I want to say employee makes a certain amount of money in a month or whatever. So I want to say a worker dot, and then in the position of 0 I want to do what now? I want to have the ID number. So I just want to have this ID number, comma, a worker dot makes a certain amount of salary. But that salary I know will come as a double, and I want to attach a currency symbol to that. I'll just say dot to string with some currency attached to that. So we have dealt with this many times. I know that you understand if you have been following my tutorials. All right, that's fine. So this is just something that I want to print to the console. So this is one practical example of where we can print using classes without having the fields. You don't always have to have a field, please. So this is one example of such a program. So let's just run this and see what we can get. Let's just try to see. So we have employee hashtag 1991 makes 55 rand dollars, because the default currency symbol it's the dollar sign here. Okay, so what if what if I just want what if I just want to have a read-only property using auto implemented accesses? So in order to do that, suppose for example I want to have an auto implemented property but just using just having a set accessor that is private. So what I'm trying to say is that if we want to create a read-only property using auto-implemented accessors, we can make the set accessor private if you want to have a read-only property. Right, if you want to have an auto-implemented an auto-implemented accessor which does what now, which only reads. So remember, this is how we do it. Suppose I want to come here and get rid of this. Suppose I want to do this. I just want to do that. Suppose I just want to do this. Now I just want to have an auto implemented property like this as just a get, and there only a get. Now let me come here. I will have a problem here because I cannot set this. Okay, that's fine. Let me go back and just have a set. Let me just have a set. All right, now if I want to have an auto implemented accessor that only can print something, that can only get the data, what I can do, I can just come here. Suppose I want this value, the ID number, to use an auto implemented property that only gets something. Right, if you come here, if you do this, if I do this, I come here and I do this and I go here and I just get rid of this. Let me just comment this and comment that. Obviously I know that I'm inside of this class, and the ID number and the salary, let's check. The ID number and the salary, it's a double, it's an int, so I know this one, even if a value is not set, it will assign a value of 0. So let's just run this code and see if it will compile. Let's just try to run this code, and it compiles, but it has automatically assigned 0 values for what? For this property ID number, because it's of type int, and 0.0 for this one because it's of type double. But I cannot set them here because I do not have a set. All right. So if you want to create a read-only property using auto-implemented accessors, you can make the set accessor private. So let's go and check that. So how do I make that private? So I can just, for example, come here, get, and then I can say private set. I can do this. Right. If I do this, okay, sorry. If I do this now, remember I have a get, there it is, and I have a private set. So even here I can come and say private set. So what does this really mean? It simply means I can only get the data, but I can never set the data, because why? It's private. Remember, when you use the keyword private, this you cannot set it when you are outside this class. You cannot. I can come here and I can say a worker dot, right? And then now I have the properties, the two properties of mine. This one, salary, and when I say this is equals to maybe a certain value, 2200, and I do this, it will complain. And what is the complaint? And then it says the property or indexer cannot be used in this context because the set accessor is inaccessible. Very, very important. Right, the property or indexer cannot be used in this context because the set accessor is inaccessible. So that is to say, you have created an auto-implemented property, but you have a set as a private. So because this is private and that is private, I cannot access it. So if I change here, now I can have access to the set of the salary, and when I come here, there it is. I don't have a problem with that, but I can never and ever set the value of the ID number because it is private. So these are just a few things that are worthy of noting. Not only the set that can be private, even the get can also be private. Let's alter things a little bit. I can come here and have a private get. I can have a private get. And when I come here, now there's a problem. It cannot print the value of ID number. Why? The property or indexer cannot be used in this context because the get accessor is inaccessible. So this is very, very important. These are the things that are worthy of noting. So otherwise everything is fine. And remember, we can go inside of the set and we can create whatever that we want. We can create some conditions that has to be met before something can happen. Right, let's look more into this private and public access modifiers. Let's just go a little bit more step into that. Right, what I want is us to come here, create a class, and let's call this class a carpet. Right, so this is my class. I will just tag and the class. Now what I want us to do here, the first thing that I want us to do is to have a public constant string that just shows us a heading of something. So it is public. We want to access this we want to access this public constant string, and let's say the string, because it is a constant, you need to immediately assign it a value. Let's just say our carpets are quality made. Let's just say our carpets are quality made. This is just a statement that we want to make. So we have a public constant string. Let's just call this the motto. This is our motto. All right, so now I want to have some few attributes. I just want to have a few fields. So these fields, they will be private so that nobody can directly access them unless you use a property in order to do that. So we will have a private int. Now the first one is the length. This carpet has a length, so it is a private int. Now because the following one is also an int, so I'll just separate them with a comma. And then the second one, the carpet has a width. Okay, and then it has the area. We can calculate the area of this carpet. So it is in the form of a rectangle because it has the length and the width, and we can calculate the area of this carpet that you have purchased from us. So we will charge you based on the area of the carpet, the amount of space through which it can occupy. Right, now because I know that I don't have direct access to the length when I'm outside of this class, so what I want to do first, I want to create a property, but it will not be an auto implemented property. I want to create an accessor that will be able to do the following. So remember, it has to be public. This is one most important thing. It has to be public. Right, it has to be of type int because the length is an int, and then the name of this property will be length. So now remember from the previous tutorial, the property has the same name as the field that it would represent, just that I capitalized the first word, the first letter of the word. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a get, and in this get I will just return the private member, which is the length. Okay, good. And then from there I will set, and then I will just say the length is equals to the value that was passed in. Very, very important. All right, because also the width is private, therefore I will have a public, it is of type int, and this one will be the width. Okay, so this is just an auto implement. Very good. Oh, saves a lot of time. So it will return the private member width, it will set the width to the value. Again, there are no restrictions that we have made here. And then once the length and the width have been accessed through an accessor, the length and the width, now I want to create all right, because the area is also private, so I will have, oh there it is, so what I want to do, it will return the area. Okay, that is fine. And I cannot set the area, please. You cannot set, please. So for this one, we will only have a get. I cannot set the value for the area because that is dependent on the value of the length and the width. So I can return the area once it has been calculated, but I cannot set that, please. It is never and ever my intention to set the area. I'm not a prophet to maybe prophesy what the set area would be. All right, no, that's fine. So this is just the get. In this, when I want to access the area, because it is also private, I will just access that area via a get once it has been calculated by just the multiplication and the multiplication of the length and the width. So I'll just have a get there. It is very important that we understand this logic. Then from there, let me just have a method that can be able to calculate the area for me. So let me just say public, because I want to access this method. This method will be of type void. It will return nothing, and then what it does is just to calculate the area. So this is calculate the area, so it will accept no parameters. And the only thing that it just has to do is to just calculate the area. And how does it calculate the area, which is a private member? So I'll just say area, this is equals to the length multiplied by the width, because the area, it's more of a rectangular shape. So this is just a public method that returns nothing, accepts no argument, and then it just calculates the area for me. And that's fine. So once that has been done, I think it is very important that we now just try to go to the main and test whatever that we have. So I will go to the main, and the first thing that I will do, I will just comment the entire thing. So let me just comment that. All right, now once I have commented the entire thing, I think it is important that the first thing that I have to do there is to create an object of the carpet. So I will just have the carpet, and it will be a rug, and this is equals to new carpet, which accepts no parameters. All right, and then the second thing that I need to do is to go to the object and use the dot and have access to the property of first length. And because to calculate, okay, the property of the length, I would say that is 14. Go again to a rug dot and set the width to a value of 12. All right, and then from there, what I want to do is just to say that the multiplication of the two carpet, it's what? So I just want to have a right line. I just want to have a right line, and in this right line, I just want to say the 12 multiplied by the 14, by the 14, and then just have that carpet. Right, this is just one thing that I want to have. And then one thing that I want to say is just at position 0, because this is multiplication, the order doesn't matter. I can say the length, so sorry, a rug dot length, good, and I can have a comma and say a rug dot width. So this is very, very important. So this is the first thing that I just want to say. I just want to say the 12 multiplied by 14 carpet, and then display the value that needs to be displayed. So in the second right line, now I want to sort out the area. So the carpet of this 12 times maybe 14 carpet, I just want to say has an area of, and what I will do, I will just use placeholders once again in order to display the area, and I will just say a rug a dot, and I will go to the area, sorry, dot area property. So I will just do that. Remember, it's just a property, and I know what should happen here. I know that the property returns the area, and the area has been calculated inside of this. All right, that is fine. That is fine. And then one thing lastly I just want to display, it's the motto that we have. So I just want to say our motto is, and just use concatenation. And what I want to do, because I want to access this, I want to access this constant public string. So how do I access that? I just use the class name carpet dot, and there I have it. I have a motto. Very good, very, very important that you note that. So let us run the code and see if things will happen the way in which we want. Let's just try to check. Let's just wait for the compiler to finish up. The multiplication, the 12 times 14 carpet has an area of 0. Okay, our motto is our carpets are quality made. So I can just come here and just do this. All right, but now I have a problem. The area was not calculated. So let me go and check. There seems to be nothing wrong in here. Now, because the area it's private, let's also make this method a private. Okay, let's not make the method private, but let's check here. So you see now, what am I accessing here? The private members. Will these private members be able to be assigned? Did I assign the values for the private members here? No. So hence the area will be 0. I have assigned values to the properties, not to the private member, but look, when I calculate the area, I'm using the private members. This will be highly impossible. They have 0 values inside of each other. If you did not assign values, we dealt with this. So 0 times 0 will give us 0. Hence, when we try and run this, we have a 0. Very important. So let's go and change this. So I want to say the length, but the length that I want to use is this one, the property one. Even the width that I want, it should be the width of a property. Very important. Now let's try to run the code and see. The area, it's still 0 irrespective of my efforts. Okay. Now I will assume, because the area is private, the method also has to be private. Let's check with that. So let's just use the private keyword and try to calculate the area, and we're still getting a 0. Now the question is, what might have just went wrong? So okay, I saw that I have taken the length of the property and I have multiplied that by the width of the property, and then when I call a rug dot area, and the area that I am calling there, let me show you the area that I am calling here. It's the property one. You can just hover over, let's check carpet. It's this one, and it is public. It is public because I want to have access to that. So okay, that is fine. We have a public int which we call area. It will just get and return the area for us. That's fine. But now we seem to have a problem. Why? Because when we are trying to calculate the area, it's not calculating the area for us here. It is not calculating the area. So maybe the problem is, let's make this public. Let's make this public. Okay, let's come here, and when we are here, let's just say a rug dot, and then let's access this method, calculate area. Right, and then we have some problem here. So something is wrong. Something is very much wrong. So what could be the problem here? All right, there seems to be nothing wrong. Let me check thoroughly. Okay, that's fine. Let me check everything. End class. All right, we have this. Everything seems to be working just fine. So this one corresponds with that one. So nothing is wrong. But irrespective of our efforts, something seems to be a miss. And the question is, what could be the problem? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. So okay, let me just go and check exactly what is happening. So carpet a rug equals that. Expression can be simplified. Show potential fixes. That is fine. Okay, so is this how you will simplify things? Okay, that's also fine. So something is a problem here. Something is a problem here. So I know when I say dot and I say area, it should be able to calculate that area for me. It must be able to calculate the area for us. And if it doesn't calculate the area for us, because inside of our carpet we have a public void calculate area, and it is a method. So what we are just doing there, we are just calculating the value of the area, and this is the length property and the width property, and I have assigned values here. The length value, it's 14. The width value, it's that. And I have this, the area. I have that. But irrespective of me having that, when I try to calculate things are not the way they should be. Okay, that is fine. Let's go back here. And when we are here, I want us to go to the get length and set the length to a certain value. And then write Inside that set length, what I want to do, I want to come here. I have set the length to a certain value, and then now what is it that I want? I want to call this method inside here, inside the set. So I want to say calculate area. This is the method that I want to invoke. So let's check. Even inside of the width here, I want to invoke the method calculate area. So what am I doing here? Right, let me explain to you. I know inside of the get, that will just get the length, and inside of the width, that will just get the width value. Inside of the set, I'm saying the length is equals to the value that you have set. So what will it do when I invoke this method like this? It will come here and it will do this calculation. Now, what is going to happen here? Now, firstly, remember, it will take the value of the length multiplied by the value of the width. Please remember, inside here I only have the length. Remember, inside here I only have the width. This is so important. Very, very important. So let's try to run this and see if things will now change. And the value is 168. How did I achieve this value? Right, I have a property here which is called the length. I have the get. It just gets the value. What is the value? The value is 14. It just gets the value. What is the value? The value is 12. So we have the get. It gets the length and the width. That's fine. Now I have a set. I set the length to the value that you have set, which is these values. You have set the values of length to 14 and width of 12. So it will, you have set the values, it will get those values. Right. Now in the set block, I know that the length is equals to the value that you type. That's fine. Now I'm saying I want to invoke this method. Okay, let me make this method private. Let me make this method private so that I can never access this method in here. Let me show you something. Arag dot, and I don't have access to that method because it is private. Right. So if that method is private, this method, I know I can access the method inside of the class where it was defined. So I am saying I'm calling this method. Once you have set the value, invoke this method inside of the set block. Now what it will do, it will come here and it will assign the value of length, which is the value that you set, right? And it will come here, it will calculate the area. What does it have? It has the length. It will come here, you are saying calculate the area. What does it have? It has the width, because width is equals to the value. It will take the value of the length, assign that value inside of this private void method, assign the value of the width to this, and then when you say calculate area, because it is public and it returns area, the private member, then it will just go there. It will just go here, assign those values. So when I say arag dot area, now, because what is this? This is a property and it is public, hence I have access to that. And then when you run this code, it will be able to calculate the area for you. This is so important that we try to understand that. Now I can come here and suppose I don't want this method to return void. I want this method to return values and some string. So I will calculate the area. Area equals the length multiplied by the width. That is fine. That's fine. Then I want to have a right line that will say the calculated area is. Now remember, this one only calculates the area, right? So when I invoke this method here, check what is going to happen. It will say has an area of, so it will show the value. So let me do this. Let me say has an area of value there. Let me say has an area of that units. Let me just do this, units squared. Now what is going to happen here? It will take the length and the width. Now remember, inside of this I only have a value. Inside of this method I only have a value like that. Now when I come here, it will say has an area of, and because I want it to print that after the calculated area it will have a value, remember. Okay, so let me just say, let me not do this. In fact, let me just do this. Now inside of this, let me have a right line that says let me just return the following. Let me say return, and what I want to return there is the following string, because I know in here I will have 12 times this carpet, and then I will just say maybe whatever. So let me come just here and just say okay, let me come here, the 12 times 14 carpet, come here, has an area of, and I'm going to use concatenation, and I'm going to say area, sorry, units squared. So I will say the calculated area has an area of maybe this value, units squared, and I will return this, right? So this is the return that I will have. Now let's try to check if that will work, because inside, okay, let me just come here and just have a right line, and I will just say a rug dot area, and let's check if this will work. Let's just try and check. Right, and I have the 12 times 14 carpet, and I have this value, and this, sorry, and this was not printed. This was never and ever printed. So why was it not printed? It just did the calculation and it ignored this. So why was it like that? So we might as well also just ignore this, allow this to return void, and just leave things the way in which they are. So remember, we can just, okay, let me do this. Let me do this and check something. Let me just run fast. Let me change this to public. And let me run the code once again. It's still doing the same thing. So this is just something that is out. So we might just as well leave this the way in which it is. So let's just have our private void calculate area the way it is. So this is all what I wanted to share with you guys, and I will see you in the next tutorial.